Hi, welcome back to the bookshelf of timeless classics from the Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. There's a remarkable little book that's so simple even a 6-year-old could understand it, yet it's taken the world by storm since its release in 1998. The elite and the accomplished call it a revelation of life itself. That book is Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson, one of the most respected and beloved authors in the world. Through a simple parable about two little people and two small mice searching for cheese in a maze, he shines a light on a modern problem. More and more people are getting trapped in their own mental exhaustion, overthinking, overcomplicating situations, and cornering themselves in dead ends of their own making, resisting change at all costs. If you're feeling anxious, confused, and stuck in a cycle of overthinking, this book might just be the spark and antidote you need to shift your life. So now, let's dive into a sharing from the Daily Better, titled The Core Way to Stop Overthinking, inspired by Who Moved My Cheese. The fastest way to destroy yourself is to think too much. In the story, two little people named Hem and Haw live in a maze alongside two mice named Sniff and Scurry. Their daily task is to search for cheese. One day, as usual, while running through the maze, they stumble upon Cheese Station C overflowing with delicious cheese. At first, all four were diligent, waking up early and using their own skills to navigate the maze in search of cheese. But before long, overwhelmed with joy at this seemingly endless supply, Hem and Haw began to change. They woke up later, stopped running as much, and no longer worried about finding cheese each day. They grew complacent and heavier. The two mice, on the other hand, stayed alert. Every day they checked Cheese Station C for any changes. Hem and Haw thought they could live this way forever. But the happy days didn't last. One morning the cheese was gone, completely. Shocked at first, the little people grew angry, accusing each other, blaming some unseen thief, lashing out with bitter words. Within days, hunger, despair, and helplessness set in. Why, you might wonder, did the author choose both humans and mice for this tale? The biggest difference between humans and animals lies in the brain, our ability to think. But sometimes, those very thoughts can trap us in an inner maze, locking us in our own dead ends. The mice never overanalyzed. When the cheese supply changed, Sniff and Scurry simply adapted, putting on their running shoes and searching for new cheese. Hem and Haw, however, stayed behind, endlessly analyzing what to do next, turning the situation over in their minds until it became more complex than it was. Questions like "What's going on here?" and "Why is this happening to me?" filled their heads, clouding their judgment. And so, while Sniff and Scurry were already enjoying fresh cheese in another part of the maze, Hem and Haw remained at Station C, still mourning the loss of what once was. The truth is, what hurts us most is not the loss itself, nor the fact that events or people go against our wishes. It's the endless inner battle we fight against it. Mental self-consumption and overthinking are the fastest ways to drain yourself. In psychology, there's a term for this: rumination. Like cows, goats, or sheep, ruminators chew their food, swallow it, bring it back up, and chew again, repeating the cycle over and over. A ruminative mind does the same, replaying a thought endlessly, getting stuck in a loop without ever making a decision or taking action. Hem and Haw fell into this trap when their cheese disappeared. And you? Are you holding on to a piece of cheese, longing for it, trying to keep it, or lamenting its loss only to grind down your own spirit in the process? Thoughts like, "If only I had tried harder, this wouldn't have happened. If I'd chosen differently. I studied so much but still got a low grade. Does that mean I'm not good enough? Why did my boss look at me that way? What did she mean by that comment? Why didn't he reply to my message today? Does my mom's action mean she doesn't trust me?" There's no end to such questions. Rumination often comes hand in hand with hypersensitivity. Even small matters can occupy your mind for hours. This kind of thinking can be intoxicating, almost addictive. If left unchecked, it leads to confusion and entrapment. The negative emotions it brings are like a swamp, stifling, yet strangely seductive, gradually sapping your strength to escape. Everyday worries start to grow larger until they consume you entirely. Many people spend the night imagining 1,000 paths forward, yet in the morning, they still walk the same worn trail. If we let our worries and thoughts gnaw at us without taking action, they will inevitably grow like a snowball, until its weight crushes us. At that point, no one can help unless you decide to smash the cage of your emotions and break free from the tangled maze within your own mind. The root of all distress: thinking too much, doing too little. Among the too little people, Ha was the first to save himself. He no longer wanted to sit still and wait for the end. Instead, he decided to return to searching for cheese each day, just like before. Hem disagreed, questioning and doubting. What if you can't find any? What if something bad happens? But Ha refused to think too much anymore. With his frail body, he stumbled through the maze, occasionally finding a moldy scrap of cheese, which he eagerly grabbed and swallowed. Little by little, his strength returned and his mood lifted. Whenever he felt discouraged, he reminded himself, even if what he was doing didn't feel comfortable now, it was still far better than being stuck with no cheese at all. At least he was taking control by refusing to overthink and constantly encouraging himself to move forward. Eventually, Ha found Cheese Station N, just like the two mice. But this time, he wasn't obsessed or dependent on the huge stockpile. Each day, he would enjoy some cheese there, then set off again through the maze in search of more. Hem, meanwhile, remained trapped in complaints, clinging to loss and waiting for the slow approach of death. This ending reminds me of a famous psychology experiment. A professor once held up a glass of water and asked his students, "How much do you think this weighs?" Some guessed 5 ounces, others 10. But the professor shook his head. The weight doesn't depend on the number of ounces, it depends on how long you hold it. At first, it may feel light, but if you hold it all day, it will feel like it weighs 100 pounds. And how do you relieve that burden? The answer is simple: put it down. Just by taking that first step, you'll naturally take the next right ones. The root cause of all burdens and worries is that we think too much and do too little. Overthinkers always want to know more, to gather every detail, to make sure everything is certain before they act. But the desire for smoothness, the chase for perfection, only breeds more complications. Endless mental spinning drains the willpower and energy you need to actually solve the problem. The best way to stop exhausting yourself mentally is to stop looking outward and turn inward, focusing entirely on action in the present moment. If you've lost a piece of cheese, go find another. If you failed this time, focus on learning and preparing for the next. If your boss gives you a sour look, pour yourself into today's work with full attention. If someone says something hurtful, arrange some flowers, exercise to strengthen your body, or do something you love. Sometimes, one action is worth more than 1,000 thoughts. One real change outweighs endless, meaningless persistence. Instead of tormenting yourself in cycles of inner depletion, use action to break the deadlock. Whoever took my cheese can have it. Perhaps you're wondering, I know overthinking is bad, but I still can't control it. What then? If you can't act to change things, it's because you're still holding on to too much expectation. The maze symbolizes both the complexity of the real world and the labyrinth of the human mind. While cheese represents the things you most desire in a certain stage of life: a high-paying job, a happy relationship, a healthy body, a beautiful house, recognition from others, a competition trophy. Each of us is searching for our own piece of cheese. We believe that having that cheese will bring us happiness. But once it's in our hands, many of us start to depend on it, and when we lose it, we feel wounded. This is the dangerous cycle of the maze. Without awareness, we get lost and never find our way out. Before you have the cheese, you crave it. When you can't get it, you doubt yourself and resent your circumstances. Once you have it, you grow complacent and resist leaving your comfort zone. And when it's gone, you panic. Throughout this process, change is inevitable and beyond your control. If your heart still clings to that cheese, your emotions and thoughts will pull you in all directions, leading to failure in many areas of life. In psychology, there's something known as the Wander effect. A high-wire acrobat named Wander had always succeeded because he was entirely focused on walking the rope. But one day, before performing, he told himself over and over how important this act was and that he could not fail. The result? He slipped and fell to his death. Social psychologists call this the wander mindset, when a person focuses not on the act itself, but on the stakes of winning or losing. In life, if you pay too much attention to results and other people's judgments, you'll lose sight of the task itself. You'll feel pressure, overthink, and drain yourself mentally. In this state, things often go the opposite way from what you want. That's why the best way to end overthinking is through action. The way to sustain action with freedom and joy is to stop fixating on results. Once you stop clinging to expectations like I must get into school A or B, I must prove myself to my parents, I must earn more than her, they must love me as I love them, I don't want to be of them, I don't cheese it all on thoughts about cheese it all. No matter what happens or how sharply someone speaks to you, or how scornfully they look at you, you'll stand like a steady wall, unmoved. Letting go of expectations doesn't mean giving up on what you want to do. No one can bind you except you. When you release expectations, you can truly be free and do what brings real value to your life. Trust that a simple, pure self free from noise will guide you forward. This is the secret to success, just as the self-taught genius. Faraday once said, "Pursue success wholeheartedly, but do not expect it. The result will often be success." Each of us is a bright spark in our own world, yet only a speck of dust in someone else's. Placing your hopes in other people, in material things, in status or fame, will only waste your life. You'll see that letting go of your expectations for cheese is not only the core way to stop overthinking and end mental self-destruction, but also the path to achieving what you truly desire with freedom and joy. By then, whether you feel the urge to ask who's been touching my cheese or who took my cheese won't matter anymore. When you have it, keep your original spirit and determination. When you lose it, let it go. Don't overthink. Turn the complicated into the simple, like the mice who acted immediately, and most importantly, expect nothing from anyone or anything. As the world-renowned spiritual teacher Mival Anando once said, "I just do, without worrying about the outcome. If it doesn't succeed, I will accept it." When Who Moved My Cheese was first published, it instantly shot to the top of global bestseller lists. For over 20 years, this little book has sparked inspiration and motivation for millions, helping people search for ways to survive and thrive in life. Many speak of the story of searching for cheese in the maze as a lesson in mastering one's life, breaking free from the comfort zone, and embracing change with courage. Yet, alongside this, there will always be those who desperately want to change, but simply cannot. These are often people trapped in the draining spiral of mental exhaustion, struggling with crises, fears, procrastination, depression, and endless overthinking. In such moments, we often start out like Hem, angry, doubtful, and hesitant. Later, we might become more like Ha, regaining our composure through reflection, and eventually taking that brave first step toward change. But perhaps the best way is to live like the mice, focused on the present, letting go of expectations, thinking less, and doing more. There's a saying, life is meant to be lived, not just thought about. On life's journey, the slowest steps are not the ones taken cautiously forward, but the ones spent pacing back and forth. looping endlessly in thought. The fastest steps are those that charge ahead, giving your all to the present moment. Don't cling to a past that cannot be undone, or send your worries into a tomorrow that hasn't yet arrived, only to miss the beauty of the here and now. Simplify life's complications with a heart free of attachment to expectations of anyone or anything. In time, you'll realize that life itself is a process of gradual letting go. You will naturally come to see what matters and what doesn't, and in doing so, become a simpler person living a truly free life. Thank you for listening to The Daily Better, a channel dedicated to sharing personal growth insights through great books. If you found today's video helpful, please share it with someone who might need it. Support us by clicking like, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our weekly uploads. And if you have any thoughts or feelings to share, drop them in the comments below. Thank you, goodbye, and see you in the next video.